there, friends. Rebecca here, the Dragon Librarian from Farmington Community Library. And Brill and I are here today to talk to you about a really, really special book. Now, this book I actually have owned for a while, and I just read it. In fact, I finished it last night. I stayed up way, way, way too late to read it, which is why I'm super tired today, but it was absolutely worth it. I loved this book. I loved everything about it, and it was absolutely incredible. And I'm glad I finished it when I did, because I really wanted to talk with you guys specifically about this book this week in particular, because we talked about some romance books in the beginning of the month, right? We still are in February, and a very important thing that happens in February is Black History Month. So I want to take the rest of the month, which is these next 2 weeks, and talk about a couple books by Black authors that I think are absolutely phenomenal. Now, obviously, these books are not just to be read during Black History Month, right? They should be read and enjoyed all year long. But if you are in particular looking for a really outstanding book like this to read this month for Black History Month, this one I think will be an absolute go-to for you. And that book is The Violin Conspiracy by Brendan Slocumb. And this was actually a Good Morning America book club pick, which I didn't notice until just now, actually. The Violin Conspiracy. So one really interesting thing about this book is that the time period that the book is being told in changes. So we start the story in present time, okay? It's not a really big jump, so it's not like it's telling like hundreds of years in the past or whatever. So it's a current setting, right? It talks about this young black man who is a violin player. He loves the violin. It is his life. It is his passion. He just loves it so much. His name is Ray. This is where the story starts out. So the story starts out with Ray, and he is going home after a concert with his violin, you know, in its case, when he discovers that it has been stolen. Yes, so this is a mystery story. He discovers that the violin has been stolen. We also learn right at this time that this is not just a sentimental artifact for Ray. So it is a sentimental artifact, right? So it came from his grandmother, who had it passed down to her by her grandfather, and it's been in their family for a very long time, okay? But it's also a very rare old type of violin that is worth $10 million. Yes. So this is where the story starts off. Boom, right in the beginning, violin is stolen. Bam, we're right in the middle of the action. Then the book puts on its brakes and it goes back a little bit. So it starts when he's in high school. It goes back to show us how much he loves the violin and how he got this violin from his grandmother, how that came to pass, how he started working his first couple of gigs, which unfortunately for the musical world could have been a big loss if he didn't pursue it, because there were some really awful incidences when he first started playing where he was treated horrifically because of him being black. And he almost gives up, but his grandmother says, no, you are sweet, you are full of love and life, and you need to share this with the world. And he doesn't give up. So then it gets, as he's going through school, it goes through when he makes the discovery that this violin is a very expensive piece. And as we're learning this is not just us learning about Ray and why this violin matters so much to him, but it's also giving us a very clear lineup of who might have been willing to steal it. Because it comes out in the media about how expensive this violin is. So it's not a secret. A lot of people know about it. But in particular, his family, who is now jealous that he has this, are trying to get it back from him. So they are definitely a main contender for who could have stolen it. But there's also this family who is trying to lay claim to the violin as well, and are actually in the process of suing Ray because they think it belongs to them. Because you see, Ray's grandmother's grandfather was a slave. And as the story goes, he was a slave that was so talented with this violin that after all the enslaved people were freed, the person who had owned them gifted this violin to his grandmother's grandfather. But now this family is trying to say, well, no, it's actually ours. We want it back. So this family is also enemy number one in terms of who would want to steal this violin. So we start setting up the story. We get all this background right in the middle. And then it shoots us back out to the present with trying to figure out what actually happened to this violin. And who got it? Is he going to get it back? Is he going to get it taken away from him by either his family or this awful, evil family that is just awful and racist, and the things they do are just despicable? What is going to happen to Ray? Because Ray's biggest passion, the thing he loves most, is playing the violin. And not just any violin, but his grandfather's violin. Or his grandmother's grandfather's violin. So this story is not just a mystery, right? So it is a mystery, definitely, but it's so much more than that. It's this beautiful story about legacy and about passion and the things that you love, but it also very clearly demonstrates how much of an elitist institution the classical music world is. Because even when Ray is an adult and he's going into all these competitions, people still treat him a certain way because of the way he looks. This book is incredible. I had no idea, so I was thrown for a twist when it was revealed who actually did steal it. I'm not going to tell you, obviously. I'm not going to tell you what happens to the violin in the end because I want you to read it and experience it for yourself. But, you know, there's a lot of things that go into a book for me and whether or not I really enjoy it. So there are lots of books that I read for just purely entertainment purposes, and those are fine and wonderful, right? I'm reading them just because I want to be entertained. I don't need to be thinking of anything really deep, right? But I think some of the best books that I've read and some of my favorite books are the ones that not just entertain me, but the ones that enlighten me too. The ones that make me think and make me understand things about the world that I never knew before. Because while I knew that the world is racist, I didn't know about how bad the systemic racism was and is in this classical music industry. And he even has a really beautiful afterword of this book where he talks about the fact that 1.8% of musicians performing in classical symphonies are black. 1.8. How? That is ridiculous. And only 12% are people of color. That's just 12%. And only 1.8%? It's crazy. But one of the really beautiful things in this book is that Ray understands through not just his grandmother, but also through a couple mentors that he has, that his job and his goal is to light the way for other young people, because you can't be what you can't see, right? And he knows that by him being a famous violinist and teaching others about the violin, he can inspire a whole other generation of young black kids to maybe pick up some classical instruments. And that is just the absolute most beautiful thing, don't you think? So I want to read you the very last part of this afterword that he wrote, because I think it just really sums up the feeling and the vibe that you get from this book. My hope is that Ray's story will inspire all of you, white or black, Asian or Native American, straight or gay, transgender or cisgender, blonde or dark-haired, tall or short, to do what you love. Inspire those around you to do what they love too. It might just pay off. Alone, we are a solitary violin, a lonely flute, a trumpet singing in the dark. But together we are a symphony. The Violin Conspiracy. Well, that's what I've got for you guys today. I hope that this book sounds really amazing, and I hope that you will read it because it's absolutely fantastic. If so, please feel free to come check it out from Farmington Community Library, and also please give this video a like. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and have a wonderful rest of the day.